City Council to order. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Fritz,
Present.
Councilmember Niesel,
Here.
Councilmember McKinney, Councilmember Pompey, Councilmember Pope,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Weaver,
Here.
Mayor Jordan.
I'm here. Please join us in a moment of silent reflection as we think about several Greenbelt residents and others who have passed away since our last council meeting. Those would include resident Donald Martin and also Russell Wong. So please join us in a moment of silent reflection. Thank you very much. Councilmember Pompey, would you like to lead us in the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Councilmember Niesel, would you like to recite the Greenbelt Community Pledge?
I would love to, thank you. The strength of Greenbelt is diverse people living together in a spirit of cooperation. We celebrate all people. By sharing together, all are enriched. We strive to be a respectful, welcoming community that is open, accessible, safe, and fair.
Well, thank you very much. So just opening things up, this is a city council meeting. We meet at least twice a month, except for August and December, on Mondays to set policy and to take formal actions. We also hold work sessions on Mondays and Wednesdays several times a month to exchange information with community stakeholders and to gather input from staff, advisory boards, and residents. Tonight's session, as is almost all of our sessions, are open to the public, except for executive sessions as authorized by state law. So residents can observe our deliberations, and so we will pause periodically tonight to provide opportunities for public comment. If you wish to speak during one of those designated times, if you're here in person, just raise your hand. After being recognized, you can go to the podium. You'll need to state your name and address. We need that for the minutes. And if you are watching on Zoom, you can use the Q&A tab on the bottom of your screen to submit a written question, or you can raise your virtual hand. And once again, you'll need to state a name and an address for the record for our minutes. And finally, if you're watching on cable TV or live streaming on YouTube or Facebook, just send us an email. That's the easiest thing. The email address is questions@greenbeltmd.gov. So with the public comment, please limit your remarks to 3 minutes and address only the topic under consideration. We ask that you remain civil and avoid disparaging others, questioning their motives. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead. Before we begin our formal agenda, we do always invite members of the public to present any petitions or requests regarding matters not listed on tonight's session agenda. And this is a vital opportunity for our residents to bring new issues to light directly to council's attention early in the evening. Once again, we ask that you keep your comments brief so that we can proceed with our scheduled legislative business. So at this time, are there any petitions or requests? I'm seeing one. Yes, please. Mr. Orleans.
If I could, first let me say I'm still awaiting, and hopefully tonight we'll be receiving something that was promised me from an earlier petition or request. I'm looking very quickly at the agenda.
Speak into the microphone.
I see on consent there's something that I do not understand. Before council approves the consent agenda, I'm hopeful it can explain more so what the geotabs contract with T-Mobile through some other third party will do. Is it simply something on each of our vehicles that reports facts about that vehicle to Public Works, or is it something more involved than that? So I'm hoping before council approves the consent, it can go into some detail about that, or the management can.
Well, thank you. As you know, the
And
petitions,
then
it's not
secondly-
questions and answers. We can refer it to the city manager, and he may respond if he's so
I'm hopeful
inclined.
that he will. And then secondly, very quickly, I was looking at this road, this contract for road assessment, and it's a relatively small amount of money, but I'm wondering if that's something that actually requires technology. I'm hoping the city manager can provide some detail about that. Thank you.
Well, thank you, thank you. Are there any other petitions or requests? City Manager Summerall, would you,
Should we save that for the administrative report section potentially?
that's an idea. Yeah. Thank you.
No. We could, or we could just talk about it. I mean, well, okay.
That's why I
Why
told
don't
you
go ahead and
adminis-
provide a one-sentence or less explanation?
One sentence, it'll be run-on sentences. On the matter of the question regarding the legal letter, Mr. Bill, I apologize to you earlier. We've had legal counsel tasked with other things this week, so we couldn't get that letter to you. So my apology for that. On the second item regarding the geotab, this is a technology that we've discussed with council. It replaces our current Verizon Connect service where we track many of our vehicles with a device in the car that tracks speeds. There's a camera in the vehicles. So we'll be switching over to T-Mobile because it provides us with better telematic data, vehicle maintenance, issues with the vehicle, all kinds of other data that we currently are not able to track with our current provider. The third item, road assessment. Your question is, does it require technology? Road assessments can be done without the assistance of technology, but we're trying to move away from paper and pen assessments because we just cannot do capital planning with the old way of recording things. The new system will allow us to not only do digital assessments, but also put that data in our GIS and be able to do long-term capital planning for roads and sidewalks.
Well, thank you so much. A little unusual to ask, respond to questions, because that's not what petitions and requests generally is about. It's an open floor for people to make statements. The consent agenda, generally speaking, administrative matters. They're not policy-setting matters that the city council undertakes. So in this case, they are all administrative. So if there are no additional petitions or requests, we can actually move on to approve or change the consent agenda. Are there any modifications to the consent agenda? And if there are none, could I please have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda as listed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Councilman Fritz has seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That measure carries. And that's going to bring us to the agenda itself. Are there any modifications to the agenda for tonight? And if there are none, could I please have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilmember Niesel and Councilmember Pope for seconding. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That measure carries as well. Okay, we've got a couple of proclamations to present, actually 3, and I'll stand up and read this. The first proclamation acknowledges Asian Pacific Islander American Heritage Month, and it's celebrated. Whereas Asian Pacific Islander American Heritage Month is celebrated nationally during May to commemorate the first immigrants who came from Japan on May the 7th, 1843. And whereas Asian Pacific Islanders and Asian American Heritage Month is to honor the compilation of the Transcontinental Railroad on May the 10th, 1869, which upwards of 20,000 Chinese workers helped to construct. And whereas in 1979, President Jimmy Carter signed the first presidential proclamation for Asian Pacific American Week, and whereas in 1992, George W. Bush permanently designated May of each year as Asian Pacific American Heritage Month, and in 2009, President Barack Obama expanded the Asian Pacific American Heritage Month to commemorate Pacific Islanders as well. And whereas this year, 2026, the theme is Power and Unity, Strengthening Communities Together, focusing on leveraging collective strength, sharing and fostering community connection. Now be it resolved that I, Timothy Jordan, by the authority vested in me by the residents and the City Council of Greenbelt, do hereby proclaim May as Asian and Pacific Islander American Heritage Month in the City of Greenbelt and encourage residents to celebrate and honor the enduring legacy of diverse cultures and significant contributions of Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, Pacific Islanders, and others. Their stories and achievements are woven into the fabric of our nation's history. So I just wanted to say that Asian and Pacific Islanders, Native Hawaiians, shaped the fabric of American life from our earliest history to the present day here in Greenbelt, a city that's long prided itself on diversity, equity, inclusion, welcoming people from all backgrounds. This is an important commemoration. So this May, there are actually 2 opportunities in Greenbelt to engage and celebrate right here at home. On Wednesday, May the 13th from 2 to 3 p.m. at the Greenbelt branch of the Prince George's County Memorial Library System, they're hosting a Chinese Conversation Club beginner class for seniors. And also on May the 20th, also at the Greenbelt Library branch, there's a ready-to-read story time, which is going to celebrate AAPI Heritage Month through stories, songs, and activities, especially focusing on the youngest residents, ages 3 through 5. So both of these events are free and open to the community. There's a number of other programs going on throughout the county. So this is a chance to kind of celebrate the diversity, the wide range of people that live here in the city of Greenbelt and their cultural heritage. So that's number 1. Number 2, I've got an autism awareness proclamation.
If I could say something on the.
Oh, please, go ahead.
I just want to thank the city for putting forth that resolution as the first council member, I believe. I don't think there have been any others of Asian descent here in the city of Greenbelt. I'm glad that we are celebrating this. I wish that we had more to celebrate, but I just want to contextualize what the term Asian means to people. If it actually means the same thing as Oriental, it means East. It's the Greek word for if you look at Europe and you look eastward, and if you were to add up the total population of all the people we call Asian, it would be more than a majority of the world's population. But we become Asian when we come to this country, right? We come from a variety of different backgrounds, ethnicities, languages, nationalities. But in this country, we were unified under one category as Asian. And I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the work of a lot of people building unity in that community across many different language groups, many different ethnicities. I'm a Filipino American. The mayor referenced Chinese Americans, Japanese Americans who, we also did a proclamation about recognizing Japanese internment. And a lot of those laws and statutes and precedents that allow people to be targeted based on the basis of ethnicity are still legal in this country. So it's great to celebrate this. It's great to honor it. And I also want it to be, especially as we're celebrating our nation's 250th anniversary on July 4th, we continue to realize that there's a lot of work that needs to be done to continue to be a more welcoming and inclusive community.
Very thoughtful. Thank you so much. And next, I have a proclamation in honor of Autism Awareness Month. This is the end of the month. But whereas the City of Greenbelt is guided by principles of inclusivity and commitment to help improve the lives of all individuals in this diverse community, and whereas autism impacts people regardless of race, ethnicity, socioeconomic backgrounds, and whereas while conditions characterized with autism may challenge communication, social skills, and behavior, and individuals with the autism spectrum disorder community represent varying qualities, strengths, and challenges. Whereas in the month of April, we strive to promote autism awareness, inclusion, and acceptance, and the City of Greenbelt is committed to providing equitable access to services, events, and activities that support self-determination for all autistic individuals. And whereas the City of Greenbelt recognizes the importance of creating spaces that, beyond acceptance, provide opportunities for representation and celebration of all autism groups. Now, therefore, I, Emmett V. Jordan, by the authority vested in me by the residents and City Council of Greenbelt, do hereby proclaim the month of April to be designated as Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month in Greenbelt, to raise public awareness of autism and the many issues surrounding it, and understanding the challenges it presents, highlighting the programs developed to support individuals with autism and their families. So this is a proclamation. So nationally, it's about 1 in 36 children get an autism diagnosis, with significant disparities across racial lines that remind us equity must always be a part of this work. In Greenbelt, our police department partners with Autism, the National Autism Registry, and the Department of Recreation and Parks connect residents and families to counseling and support services, because every Greenbelt resident deserves dignity and belonging. Also, this April, our county executive and county council chair, Crystal Arida, launched an early connections campaign connecting families of children up to age 5 with early intervention services, medical professional support, and autism support organizations across Prince George's County. They have a digital resource hub that you can access at princegeorgescountymd.gov at the website, county website, and that remains active year-round. So we're closing the Autism Awareness Month, so I didn't want to let this opportunity to pass to reflect the city's commitment to all of our residents, and in particular, people who may be on the autism scale. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, I had just wanted to note that the Greenbelt Police recently announced this Greenbelt Guardian program, a volunteer registry to help protect individuals who may be at risk of wandering or going missing. And it could be for people who, with autism, but also those who are elderly, may have Alzheimer's or dementia or other issues that it might be important that the police know those factors are involved if they are if they go missing and the police are looking for them. So that is something that is available as a completely voluntary program. But if that's something that you think would be helpful for one of your family members, the website to register is www.greenbeltmd.gov/guardian. And I'm sure if you have any particular questions about that program, you can contact the police department.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Pope?
Yes, thank you so much. So I think this is very important, and I work at Spring Hill Lake Elementary School. I think most of you are aware of that, and I've been working with autistic children for over 20 years in the special education department. So just on Saturday, we had a really big special education resource fair in the school, and I wanted to say thank you to City Manager Salmoran for helping to bring some of our city resources on Saturday to the school, so our parents were able to get more information and all the things, wonderful things that the city is offering. So just thank you. Very grateful that we were able to participate. The autism spectrum is so wide, so different, and I certainly learned a lot over the many years that I came in contact with so many individuals, and in my own family as well. So, but thank you for the acknowledgement.
Thank you. Other council members, please.
I'll be very brief, but yes, I'm appreciative of this resolution as well, and the Mayor Pro Tem's comments as well. One state initiative as well, addition to the City of Greenbelt Police Department's program, is Eric's Law, which was passed, and it actually now it took effect last year, but allows people with non-apparent disabilities to actually get an indicator on their driver's license or state of Maryland ID indicating that they have a non-apparent disability, and it shows up as a butterfly on the a driver's license or ID. So it helps people interacting with law enforcement. It helps law enforcement. It's voluntary, of course, but it's a voluntary way to indicate that this person has a non-visible disability and to take that into account when interacting with them. So, we're moving beyond just awareness to acceptance. Acceptance is the active, not the passive, and recognizing that people have an infinite way to exist, whether they're what we consider neurotypical or neuroatypical, that these experiences might be different, but they're equally valid. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And, yeah, Mr. Summerall, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, you made reference to the Recreations Department, and I just want to remind council and the public that we have an award-winning inclusion program in our summer camps, that part of our DEI strategy is to have, create programming in spaces that is inclusive of all. So any camp goers, participants have, all of our camp participants have access to inclusive counselors, which are trained individuals that help them navigate through our camp so that they have same experience as all the users. And that's for various challenges that our kids face.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Hey, the final proclamation is for National Poetry Month. And Effie Lebner and members of the Greenbelt Poetry in the Garden group are here. Could you please come forward and I'll share this proclamation with you? Welcome. Whereas this month is an opportunity to celebrate poetry and the wonderful poets who inspire us through the power of their words. And whereas the Academy of American Poets established the month of April as National Poetry Month in 1996, and whereas the theme of the 2026 National Poetry Month is poetry and the creative mind, that reflects this month's focus on the intersection of poetry and imagination, inspiration, and the human capacity for creative expression. And whereas poetry embraces, enriches, uplifts, encourages reflection and hope while creating connections to the past, present, and future in all languages and for all cultures. And whereas the City of Greenbelt recognizes the contributions of many organizations, individuals, and groups to the rich cultural fabric of our city and is committed to making Greenbelt a place where the arts and culture thrive, Greenbelt invests in programs to ensure all residents have access to and the opportunity for cultural participation. Now, therefore, I, Emmett V. Jordan, by the authority vested in me by the residents and City Council of Greenbelt, do hereby proclaim the month of April to be designated as National Poetry Month and encourage all residents to observe this month and to celebrate the cultural richness of our community, the cultural richness that we have to offer, and to recognize the important role poetry plays in creating and sustaining the great nation with appropriate ceremonies, activities, and programs. I'd like to present this proclamation to you. Maybe we get a photograph of this. We've got all the members of the group here as well. Why don't you come on?
Or if you're a lover of poetry or a writer.
Council, if you want to stand as well.
We've required
Fair
that.
warning.
Thank you so much. So, Effie, if you want to go to the podium, I don't know if any of you have maybe a really short but meaningful poem to share, or if you want to talk about the Poetry in the Garden group, please, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, City Council members. Good evening, public. If my voice is not strong enough, let me know. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? It's better, okay. My name is Effie Lebner. I am the founder of the Greenbelt Poetry Club. The official name is Poetry in the Garden, and that's what you will see in the paper when we advertise. The group started in 2021 when the pandemic was at the peak. People were isolated, and we started that because the social distancing wasn't an issue. We did it in the garden, it was safe. Since then, we've been running this group once a month on Sundays, and from 3 till 5 o'clock, 2 hours. The group is free of charge. It's open to the entire public, all ages, all backgrounds. We even welcome people who are new immigrant and their English is not very good. I know what does it mean when you don't know the language. People treat you differently. So what we said, you can come, read your poetry in your own language. Just tell us in one sentence, is it a love story? Is it about politics, whatever? Just really try to include people as much as possible. People of different background, different languages. And I am by profession an occupational therapist. I practice occupational therapist. I work with pediatric school system, disadvantaged, developmentally delayed, and we working with the same group of people. Psychiatric hospital, Shepherd's Pratt. So I'm really familiar. I have seen. So this, the mental health issue is the main thing that really pushes me to continue with this group. We all have poetry. We all have problems. But poetry is something that can be healing, it can be therapeutic, it opens up people's feeling to express their feelings. In poetry, you cannot lie. Either you have it or you don't have it. If you feel for something, poetry is something through which you can express it. And the group is supportive, the group is welcoming. Other things that we do, we sometimes invite guest speakers from outside to come. We respond to not political, issues, current issues that happens nationally and internationally, like the war in Ukraine, the war in Gaza, shooting in school. Whenever something like that happens, we jump in, bring poetry, and people can relate to that. Sometimes we don't know how to relate in times of crisis, but the words tell us how we feel. And we encourage people to bring their own poem, to read something they identify with, or to read something that they have written, or just come sit and enjoy it with us. I hope that you will develop, or you already have a love for poetry, and I would love people to come and join us. The next meeting is May the 3rd, and if we have enough time, I have a very passionate poet here from our group. She wants to read something for you. Is
Yeah,
it okay?
that's fine, if that's okay with council, about two minutes or so.
Just a couple of minutes.
You said that the meeting is on Sunday at Shrum Hills Park. That's at 3 o'clock? 3rd of May. Is that next Sunday? This Sunday. Welcome. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Saini Sise. I'm one of the members of the Greenbelt Poetry in the Garden Group. I'm a poet. I also work with youth as a teaching artist. And I'm also a co-host of an open mic in DC called If All the Trees Were Pens. We meet first and third Fridays of every month. So our next one is actually this Friday. And I'll be reading my poem titled Alternate Worlds for the Couple on the G12 Bus in Matching Outfits. RIP G12, it's not called that anymore. Alternate worlds for the couple on the G12 bus in matching outfits. A world where they are just one person and holding the magnet force that keeps them together in this world, clasped between their palms. A world where every windbreaker belongs to them in honor of being so fly, where the bus wheels turn to wings and I have the courage to ask them what love without flight feels like. A world where they are always 30 minutes apart, maybe one of them on the bus behind this one in some butterfly-winged fragility of fate, some faint feeling of reaching for the other, the magnets inside of them still waiting to be at the same place at the same time. A world where everything they touch turns to song, twists into R&B riffs, and I wonder if they dance together, what rhythm it was that brought them into one, their world that only belongs to them, and all the passengers turn to windows, turn to brief witnesses of sonder and awe. This world, with their hands rested together, with congruent lines inside the other's palms. And I want to ask if their love is here today because they were always going the same place, or if they drew the maps together. Here, where the edges of each other's body are held like continents come back together. Here, grounded in new balances, grounded in knowing that this world of all worlds is still one worth choosing. A world where this love is not radical, does not catch my eye and hold it like a breath. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's the Poetry in the Garden group this Sunday, 3 o'clock, Shrum Hills Park. It's actually back where the Three Sisters Garden is. If the weather is good, it's in the back. It's not under the pavilion usually. It's correct. So thank you so much. Wow, all that great poetry. It's heating up the room a little bit. Can someone turn the fan on? So let's get down to business.
Is that a request?
That is a request.
You needed to state it in a haiku. I don't think I can do it on the fly.
5,
Yeah,
the rule. I just taught that, actually. That's why I know it just the other day, 575.
it's too warm in here. Please turn on the fan, Mr. Salmarone,
Boom.
so we can cool down. There we go.
We thank you so much. That should be the last.
Okay. Getting back to some serious business, item D here is a public hearing for the 2027 proposed budget. On March 23rd, 2026, the city manager presented the proposed budget for fiscal year 2027 to the city council. Since then, council has held 4 work sessions to review the budget and has another 5 scheduled. The proposed budget is available online at greenbeltmd.gov, including the agenda, the materials, and the recordings of each of those budget work sessions. So the budget is scheduled to be adopted at the regular city council meeting on May 26, 2026, May the 26th. The city code requires that a public hearing be held on the budget prior to its adoption. Tonight's public hearing is the first of 2 that have been scheduled. The second public hearing will take place on Monday, May the 11th, 2026. So at this time, I'm going to bang the gavel and adjourn the meeting, and I hereby call this...
You're not adjourning the meeting.
Oh, I'm just reading what's... Recess, I'm sorry. Recess. We're going to recess the meeting and open up the floor to comments on the 2026 budget. Is there anyone here wishing to make a comment? Yes, Mr. Rand.
Bob Rand, 19 Ridge Road. I partly wanted to reassure Mr. Salmarone that somebody is looking at the budget. Okay, kudos to staff for their heroic efforts every year to prepare this. Is it 3 minutes or? Okay. This massive living document that not only accurately accounts for all the incoming and outcoming funds, but also balances future revenues and expenses. The layout does keep getting better, thank you, helping to straightforwardly present layers of details. I look at the budget as a kind of annual report that includes a vision for the coming year. I was very happy to see that the city planning framework again includes forward thinking and DEI as a foundational pillar for establishing guiding principles to steer the trajectory of Greenbelt with a purpose. However, with except for a few mentions, notably planning, I don't see this forward thinking on equity reflected in the departmental issues and services section, nor is there much evidence of collecting data to analyze equity of services. So my question is, how can all city departments and the community as a whole adopt forward thinking and DEI as a guiding principle of fiscal year 2027? For those of you who are tired of the term DEI or leery of using it because it has become a target of the right, let's use the word fair, which is in the Greenbelt Pledge. We strive to be respectful, a respectful, welcoming community that is open, accessible, safe, and fair. That gets us pretty much to the same place. What does fair look like practically? we may not be able to fully measure local disparities, but we can assume that national trends and disparities are also present in our community. And I'll point out, especially the national findings are that the white wealth to African American wealth gap are 8 to 10 times greater. So if we were to apply the fairness vision for Greenbelt, we might adopt a goal that race and ethnicity are not predictors of wealth in our city, and that children of any race or ethnicity growing up here have equal opportunities to build wealth over lifetimes. This is a huge effort that requires careful consideration of the components of wealth and opportunity. It also requires a clear, sustained intention over decades. How do we sustain this generational effort? Tribucy left some important recommendations in their Phase 1 and Phase 2 reports, but my perception is that implementation appears to be slowing down among staff. I hope that's incorrect. In my opinion, departments will need to adopt equity and fairness as their own foundational pillars for providing services to residents. I hope to see that adoption reflected in the issues and services section of next year's budget. Just one last thing. I did notice on the College Park website, they have a very helpful Q&A for staff and residents about the budget. That might be something that Greenbelt might want to look into. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there other comments on the budget process? Yes, please, Mr. Orleans.
Thank you. Before council began this process a month ago, it was stated from this lectern that it was hoped that this year Greenbelt Council and City Management would return to a practice that existed some years ago, and that is as budget work session to budget work session occurs, any changes from the draft budget be placed on the table upon coming into the meeting for the next work session. I had a conversation with the city manager at the conclusion of the last budget work session, and he informed me that such changes from the original draft budget as have occurred are placed on the city's website, and while that's good, that's not necessarily accessible to everyone. And I'm repeating my request from 6 or 8 weeks ago that city staff make available to the public, should they want it, upon entering each budget work session, changes from the original draft and changes that occurred as a result of previous work sessions on the table, so that we may pick it up and put it in as an addendum to the budget, should we have one. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other comments for the record regarding the 2027 Greenbelt proposed budget and the process, the point that we are at now? Hearing none, Mr. Summerall, you had a comment?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Wren and Mr. Orleans, for your comments. I want to report that we are providing updates on our budget process on the website. I'm sharing my screen here. We have a dedicated page for the budget where we are uploading all of our budget documents. We're also including summaries of meetings and relevant material for those specific work sessions. So not only is this available on the website, but we're also providing a very condensed version, as space is limited, on the Greenbelt News Review. So every weekly update, every weekly production of the Greenbelt News Review includes a summary of the previous work sessions. Mr. Branda, also the Q&As are available on our website, and they're broken out by work session. So the work sessions have a drop-down click, so you can click into each work session, and the Q&As for that specific work session is uploaded to that area on the page. So we've taken the feedback from previous years, worked on it, and are providing as much information as we can. We always welcome feedback. So.
Well, thank you very much. So at this time, if there are no additional public comments, I'd like to bang the gavel and call the regular meeting back to order from the recess. And we do have one more presentation, and that is a Limnotech final presentation. And let me see if I can explain. This is an EPA-funded project commissioned by the City of Greenbelt to develop a community flood resiliency plan and to better understand and address flooding in central historic Greenbelt and throughout the city. Kevin Carpenter Driscoll is here to facilitate the conversation, and I'm assuming that we've got representatives here from Linotech to lead us through a PowerPoint and explain this very, very important study. Kevin, welcome.
Thank you. That was a very, very great explanation. This was a project that we started in July of last year, and Anouk and Brad and their team have been working hard in the past 9-ish, I can't count good, months to bring this this final deliverable, the report that was sent to council, and this final presentation. So I'll let them go through it now. Brad and Anouk, take it away.
Welcome. Thank you so much for coming and reporting out as the final step in this this project.
Thank you. It's great to be here. We appreciate the opportunity to share our findings from this flood study. We were last here back in February. We gave a progress update that focused on, can we next slide? Thank you. The tasks 1 through 3, the information gathering, flood modeling tasks. We're going to try to quickly recap those, spending most of our time discussing tasks 4 and 5, looking at flood mitigation options, talking about what's in the that final community flood resiliency plan. Next slide. So task 1, our public process, involved public meeting last August, an online survey and mapping exercise. The results of those are on this map. Based on that data, we focused our efforts in central Greenbelt, where a lot of the problem areas were clustered. Next slide, please. We used elevation and sewer survey data to develop a flood model that could identify parts of Greenbelt's stormwater conveyance system, that's streets and pipes, that don't have adequate capacity to deal with the types of events that you saw last summer. We also modeled what are known as design storms. So those are rain events that are statistically likely to recur over a certain time interval. We use FEMA flood mapping data to evaluate flooding in the Indian Creek area. And then for both that analysis and the flood model, we also looked at potential climate change impacts as the storms that we're seeing are getting more intense and heavier over time. Next slide, please. These are some of our baseline modeling results that we went into more detail in back in February. On the left is the July 19th, 2025 event. On the right are the results from a NOAA 5-year, 6-hour design storm. Very similar outcomes in the model. That July event is roughly equivalent in size, intensity to that 5-year design storm. So a storm that you'd expect to occur roughly every 5 years. The main difference here is that the NOAA storm occurs over a 6-hour period. That July 19th event occurred over about a two-hour period. So even more, intensity concentrated in that short time period. Next slide, please. This is a new analysis that we did last month. So this we did not share this in February. This is a blue spot analysis that uses our GIS mapping software, elevation data, and it doesn't include any analysis of pipes. It just looks at the surface and where water is likely to flow and to pool. So this is meant to really complement the flood modeling and some of our other analyses. Next slide, please. So between the public feedback and the photo and video evidence that we receive from the city, the flood model, and the blue spot analysis, there's not total agreement between those three sources and tools, but there is general agreement, and we highlighted some of those areas on these three maps where all three of those are basically aligned. So, that was good to see as we built these tools, and they were able to, reinforce each other, and also maybe not necessarily match, but come close to what was observed last summer in those large July events. Next slide, please. So now we move on to the final task, which is looking at flood mitigation options for the city and developing that final flood resiliency plan. We looked at both gray and green infrastructure practices that could help alleviate flooding. Gray are your traditional pipes, stormwater inlets, storage systems. Green are, well, it's a whole suite of different technologies that have become more popular in recent decades, and it's likely going to take usually a combination of those that you're going to look to implement as you look for flooding solutions. Next slide, please. So this map shows the areas in central Greenbelt that the model identified as near at or over capacity during those July storm events. So the green or turquoise are the streets that were pretty much inundated, and the yellow or orange are pipes that were at capacity during those events. So those areas are where we would. Oh no, you can go ahead and advance the slide. Thank you. Those areas are where you would look to implement gray infrastructure, the traditional infrastructure to move your stormwater from where you don't want it downstream or store it where it's not going to do any damage or as much damage. So that includes additional storm drain inlets along your streets. That could include upsizing your stormwater pipes, underground detention, basically big concrete tanks that you bury, and then flood protection walls. Now, what these all have in common are that they're relatively low maintenance. Nothing is zero maintenance, but you can put them in the ground, and they're proven technologies over hundreds of years. They are expensive. The upfront costs are significant, and perhaps more importantly, on the community level, they can be very disruptive. You think about having to close streets or tear up streets, or some of the pipes we identified are right out here under these parking lots here, not having access to that parking for months and months at a time as you look to upsize a pipe. The other disadvantage to these, there aren't any water quality benefits. Now, when you're looking at flood mitigation, your water quality isn't at the forefront of your mind. It's not going to be your focus. But there are, with the green infrastructure, they do have those ancillary water quality benefits that the gray infrastructure do not. So that's something to keep in mind. And I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Anouk to talk about some of that green infrastructure.
Right, so as Brad said, we also looked at green infrastructure opportunities. So green infrastructure is a little bit different from gray infrastructure in that it tries to mimic nature in how it handles excess water. So that's either through plantings, through infiltration, through evaporation. And one of the great parts that people like about green infrastructure is that it can provide co-benefits like more green space, pollinator habitat, ecological benefits, air quality benefits, reduced temperatures on the ground, etc. So these are very attractive to think about because they provide multiple benefits. So part of our analysis was trying to identify opportunities in the city of Greenbelt where green infrastructure could be implemented. And we primarily focused on public or parcels that are owned by the city or parcels that are part of the Greenbelt Co-op area. So this map shows a couple of different types of green infrastructure. There are bioretention or rain garden, large rain garden sites in yellow. We have found a couple of areas near parts of the city that were shown to be flood prone, and those provide good opportunities to put those rain gardens or bioretention sites. We also looked at green roofs, particularly on buildings that are a little bit larger, and we're doing a green roof. So that's a vegetated roof where if water falls on the roof, it gets stored and used by the plants on the roof. So there are a couple of buildings that we identified as being potential good candidate for that. And then the last one that we looked at, as shown in the map here, is in purple, and those are permeable pavement. So that is pavement. It acts like regular concrete that you would see in a parking lot, but it lets water through and it lets it infiltrate into the ground rather than pool up on the surface of the roads. And there are lots of different parking areas within Central Greenbelt that could provide good opportunities for that. Next slide, please. And so our flood resiliency plan goes through all of these green infrastructure strategies. There's a page for each one. And for each type, we indicate what its flood reduction potential could be, what the water quality benefits could be, approximate unit costs, and then some kind of qualitative pros and cons of each, because they're all very unique in the way that they are used and the benefits that they provide. So we have bioretention, we have permeable pavement that's shown on this slide. The next slide shows, thank you, green roofs. Impervious surface removal is another good option where you try to reduce the amount of imperviousness and replace that with vegetation. That works well for some driveways, perhaps, where maybe you don't need as much impermeable or pavement. And then on the next slide, I think we have two more types of green infrastructure that we think could work well in the city. Rooftop disconnection is one of them. So that is disconnecting the roof leaders that sometimes are connected straight to the sewer, disconnecting that and letting that water enter a rain garden or a vegetated area and let it infiltrate rather than putting it straight into the sewer. And rainwater harvesting, so rain barrels or cisterns can also offer a good opportunity, especially for single-family homes. Those are easy to install, and there are lots of programs that are organized by the county and the state to provide rebates, so they provide an attractive option to help with flood mitigation. There's a third type of strategy that we discuss in the report, which are non-structural BMPs. So these are BMPs is best management practice. So these are practices that focus on the prevention of stormwater in the first place. So trying to mitigate flooding by stormwater prevention. And the three that we talk about are shown here from left to right. So left is storm drain cleaning programs to prevent clogging and potential ponding of water as the water, if the water can get into the inlets, that could cause some flooding issues. So that could be part of Greenbelt's street sweeping program, just good housekeeping practices. The middle option are thinking about local ordinances that could potentially enhance current stormwater standards, maybe in specific areas of the city that are more vulnerable to flooding. So you could think about going above and beyond what the state requires or what the county requires and have specific ordinances for the city. And then the third piece is public education and outreach to increase awareness and reporting. So this is more about trying to prevent damage and keeping people out of harm's way. So using social media, using reporting, giving citizens an opportunity to report flooding issues. So those can be collected and acted upon. All right, so we prepared this report, the City of Greenbelt Community Flood Resiliency Plan. The report talks about all the different phases of our work, from the first parts of the community outreach and public engagement through the data that was used to feed into this. We talk about the modeling, we talk about the recommendations, and all of that is in this report. And then the last piece of the report on the next slide is we do talk about some potential next steps. So one section of the report is focused on funding and funding options for further either implementation or further studies. We know that's an important part of moving projects forward. So we've identified different grant programs at the federal level, state level, county level, as well as through nonprofits, like the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, and there are other ones too, Chesapeake Bay Program. They all provide different grant opportunities exactly for this kind of work. And that could be potentially helpful to move forward with some of these solutions. And then the other section in our report talks about further assessments to help refine and expand the flood resiliency strategies. So what we have done is identified potential options at a fairly high level. If you want to take that to implementation, there will be another step that is more detailed planning and design work to then be able to go to construction. There's also possibilities to extend the flood analysis from central Greenbelt to east and west Greenbelt, where there are also known flooding issues. And then we also identified Greenbelt Lake as a potential management strategy as an option for flood mitigation that could also be explored in further phases if that's something that the city would be interested in looking at further. So with that, I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to Kevin and the council for giving us this opportunity to do this study. It was really interesting for us to do this. We hope the report is helpful to you all, and would be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Yeah, well, thank you. Let me just start off with, just expressing our appreciation for the information that you've pulled together, particularly the process, the public engagement, really reaching out and involving our residents as much as possible in setting up the framework. So it's a great tool that we'll have to work with. I'm looking around to my colleagues on council. Do you have any particular questions? I probably have one or two. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, I thought that the analysis was really interesting in reading the full report. One of the things you noted was that this was the models were uncalibrated, and I wondered if there were some things, what data do we need to do that calibration, and if, for example, maybe some citizen science observations of flooding level and extent after a future big storm could serve to help calibrate this kind of model. Is that something that we could think about figuring out how to implement? It also made me realize that we should probably get some kind of official rain gauge somewhere in the city, because you noted that we didn't actually have one. There is one over at Goddard, not very far away, that is, on the roof and is, I think, a pretty serious one. But we don't have any, and that's now in the city limits of Greenbelt, but we maybe need one here on maybe our roof or something. But anyway, thoughts on calibration?
More accessible for us.
Yeah, no, you can get the data online, actually. You can, for the one at Goddard, there's a website you can go to and you can get all the data from it.
It's a great question. In terms of model calibration, it's not uncommon to have a flood model that is uncalibrated, unlike
Okay.
other types of models, because floods are, thankfully more rare events where you're not, necessarily having to monitor them, and it's difficult to collect good flood data. We worked on a big DC flood project over a decade ago, where we were really looking at very anecdotal evidence of, oh, well, we think the water level is here on Constitution Avenue. It's up at this, this certain level, like on a light post or on a planter. So that's not uncommon. Any data, it's ideal, if residents are out and can collect any kind of, it doesn't even necessarily have to be quantitative, just, photos help. Kevin provided us with photos and videos that really helped us to kind of ground truth the models. The rain gauge is a big one. The more you can get local, because so many of these summer thunderstorms are, hyper local. If you can capture that, in the critical areas, that would be key.
And just one final thing. So I don't know if this is an issue, and probably is not our issue anyway, but I noticed in Indian Creek along the, it's right by Branchville, there's one of the big concrete slabs along the side of that. That's a very channelized thing. It's like slumping down. Is that something we need to worry about is it going to cause any impacts on, I don't think it should be our responsibility. I think it should be the county. But is that the sort of thing that would be good to make note of so we have it recorded somewhere? I only noticed it after you had done all the community meetings.
Yes, that's
Okay.
definitely something, because what you get is, you eventually could get the failure of that channel. You could get erosion. You could get that, that channel is going to be much less efficient if you get that type of failure. And that could be an acute failure, or that could be over time. Either way, you end up with a channel that really isn't able to convey as much flow as you'd like.
I took a picture. I'll send it to the city manager.
We have that concern on Crescent Road as well.
I was under the impression that there was a rain gauge on Indian Creek just north of the metro station, so it's not in Greenbelt, but I know we had some folks that were doing research there at one point. Do you remember that, Councilmember Pope? But you mentioned the county, and we've got this report, we've got this framework that staff will be able to use to address some of these projects long term. We just don't have the money right now to do this. But floods, the longer term underlying damage that happens as a result of flooding cost quite a bit to the city and also to our residents. So I'm just wondering, and maybe Kevin, can you maybe step to the microphone? I'm just wondering if you could kind of comment on, we've gotten some next steps, we've gotten some strategies, some of the things we're already doing, but I'm just wondering, so how can we actually go beyond engaging individuals, but talking to the HOAs and multifamily developments in our community to let them understand what's in it for them and how the flooding impacts their infrastructure?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think one of the great things Limited Tech's team put together was identifying a lot of those opportunity areas, specifically with GHI. I think we have a really great partnership with them. I think we can reach out to them and find ways to pool resources, to create more community outreach in that regard, because it does take everybody. Water doesn't just fall on city streets, it falls on everyone's homes. So we're finding ways to get that community buy-in, I think is going to be critical. So working with this project, with other projects that's in the works with planning department, working with the county, working with all these different organizations is going to be key.
And I know we've been working for a while to try and get the county in general has responsibility for stormwater management. There are a couple of sections, a couple of areas in GHI that were never turned over. So somehow working with them to, expand, get bigger pipes is, I know, a goal that we have, and it's something we've been working on for a while.
Yes, that's correct.
Other thoughts? Yeah, please.
I think one of the great things about going through this study is that you were able to talk to residents and sort of get anecdotal data in addition to the research that you all did. How do we continue getting that conversation, and where does that, all of that information? Because there will be more storms, there will be more things happening, and we need to continue to monitor that. So what can we tell our residents to continue to do to kind of help us as we, obviously, as the mayor said, we're facing some pretty difficult budget challenges. So we may not be able to make huge investments, but where can we continue to support the monitoring and the documenting so that when we do know we're going to make a significant investment, we have ongoing data, and it's not just this one report that is over. It's the data's still coming in.
Yeah, and things are going to change. Variables are going to change
Right.
throughout time.
Right.
This report is a snapshot in time of Greenbelt as it is now. So I think, ideas just popping into my head while you were talking was, a repository online where people can submit these kinds of things. Because like Brad said, so much of flood information and data is anecdotal. It's so much of like, I saw a puddle over here. And being able to
Right.
put that into a map and everything like that is crucial for trying to figure out these solutions. But one thing I do love about this plan is that it is very high level, but it does identify these areas. It gives us a bit of a roadmap where we can start looking for funding and going after these kinds of projects. So we're not doing nothing with it, but it's just the beginning. This is the first step. So really happy with it.
Any public comment? Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Nirvan. I had a question about some of this green infrastructure. I know Mayor Emmett said there's budget issues. Is there a possibility for issuing tax credits for private owners for implementing this sort of green infrastructure? Like we know lawn grass has shallow roots. It's not going to absorb water. Or if private commercial properties like Quantum, et cetera, if they had this impermeable surface transformed into permeable parking surface like we have at Spring Hill Lake, is it possible to have tax credits for that instead of spending the money? You have someone review, oh, they did it correctly, some expert going out, and they say, okay, you qualify for this tax credit.
Well, definitely. For example, a rain barrel rebate program is something the county has had in place, and you've actually listed a variety of credits, rebates, and other programs. Please, can you
Yeah, I was
elaborate?
going to say, you can look into the county does have the rain check rebate where they will fund up to a certain amount of a lot of these projects. So if you install a rain garden, I forget the exact percentages, but they'll fund up to, I want to say, it's like a few $1,000s towards these smaller rain projects. You can find ways to get reimbursements for purchasing rain barrels to attach to your downspouts. So a whole bunch. The county is very, very involved in improving stormwater quality. They know that's something that they need to do because of their overall report card in that regard. So there's lots of opportunities with that.
Councilmember Fritz.
Yeah, I'll just say that appreciate the consideration around the budget. A tax credit is still a tax expenditure, so it still does impact the bottom line of the city if it's coming out of city tax revenues. If it's a county or federal or state tax credit, go for it, go wild. But it would, a tax credit that is credited against your city property taxes is still impacting our budget. So, but once again, if it's the federal government's money, please get all that money you can.
Yeah, and of course, one of the reasons why the state and the county are so involved is there's a mandate from the EPA to actually mitigate, to do something about the stormwater's impact on the Chesapeake Bay. I think it's the MP4s or something. They have to reduce the levels, or else there are fines, long-term fines that could go to the state of Maryland. So that's why funding has been allocated by the county to try and do something about it. Yes, City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Brad and Anouk, thank you for your presentation and your work. Appreciate it. You talked about underground storage and you talked about concrete boxes. Gravel pits, is that within your underground storage, or is that in your storm green water management?
So gravel pits usually have infiltration as part of the whole system. So I would say kind of straddles the green and gray infrastructure in my opinion. The green part is the infiltration part, the gray part is that's underground and more of a hard infrastructure piece. But that could definitely be a part of the solution as well, if that's something you want to think about.
Are you a fan of gravel pits?
I'm a fan of green infrastructure. I like, this is just personal, I like things that provide multiple benefits. So I like green infrastructure because you're also going to get those water quality improvements that are really important for the local waterways and ultimately the Chesapeake Bay. I like that they can provide pollinator habitat, butterfly habitat. I like that it provides temperature reduction, which in this area is really important. There are a lot of areas, I think you might have heard of the urban heat island effect. So green infrastructure can help address a lot of those things. So that's where my preferences lie.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm just thinking low cost, scalability.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So once again, thank you for this excellent work. Thank you, Kevin Carpenter Driscoll, for being the liaison and working directly with this firm. I think your report will be something that the city will rely on and use for many years. Thank you. Okay. Hey, let's.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
this
please.
is the final report, and we don't anticipate any changes. Would you like this to come back for acceptance, or do you want to go? Do you want to accept the report tonight, and that becomes our official final report?
I think we can accept it tonight. I'll go ahead and make that motion that we accept Linatech's report from the study that they've done.
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Measure carries. Thanks. We accept your report. Thank you so much.
Hey, good job. Thank you.
Okay, we've got some administrative things to take care of right now.
Yeah. In accordance with the general provisions article, section 3-06C2 of the annotated code of the public general laws of Maryland, I move that the minutes of tonight's meeting reflect that council met in closed session on Wednesday, April 8th at 10:19 p.m. in the council chambers. Council held this closed session in accordance with section 3-305(1) and 8 of the general provisions article of the annotated code of the public general laws of Maryland. 1, to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom it has jurisdiction, or any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals. And 2, to consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending or potential litigation. Voting to close the session: Councilmember Fritz, yes. Councilmember Niesel, yes. Councilmember McKinney, yes. Councilmember Pompey, yes. Councilmember Pope, yes. Mayor Pro Tem Weaver, yes. Mayor Jordan was absent on travel. Staff present: Josue Samaron, City Manager; Tim George, Assistant City Manager; and Dwayne Martinez, Director of Human Resources. No other individuals, and no action was taken during the session.
Thank you. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Councilmember Pope is seconded. Let's go ahead and take a vote. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Fritz,
Yes.
Councilmember Niesel,
Yes.
Councilmember McKinney. Yes. Councilmember Pompey,
Yes.
Councilmember Pope,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Weaver,
Yes.
Mayor Jordan.
I abstain because I was not there.
Okay. Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you.
In accordance with the general provisions article, section 3-06C2 of the annotated code of the public general laws of Maryland, I move that the minutes of tonight's meeting reflect that council met in closed session on Monday, April 20th, 2026 at 9:38 p.m. in the council chambers. Council held this closed meeting in accordance with Section 3-305B, 1, 7, and 8 of the General Provisions Article of the Annotated Code of the Public General Laws of Maryland. 1, to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom it has jurisdiction, or any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals. 2, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice on a legal matter, and 3, to consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending or potential litigation. The purpose of this meeting was to discuss personnel matters, to consult with counsel on a legal matter, and to consult with staff on a legal matter. Voting to close the session, Councilmember Fritz, yes. Councilmember Niesel, yes. Councilmember McKinney, yes. Councilmember Pope, yes. Councilmember Pompey, yes. Mayor Pro Tem Weaver, yes. Mayor Jordan, yes. Staff present were Josue Salmaron, City Manager, and Dwayne Martinez, Director of Human Resources. Also present was Jason Deloach, City Solicitor, virtually. No action was taken during this meeting.
Second?
Second.
Yeah, Councilman Fritz seconded. Did you?
I'm going to say I think there's a typo.
To consult with
To
staff?
yeah, number 3
Oh, yes,
is
it
to
should say
consult
consult with staff on a legal matter.
It's not substantial,
No.
but we'll make that note. Is there any other discussion? Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Fritz,
Yes.
Councilmember Niesel,
Yes.
Councilmember McKinney. Yes. Councilmember Pompey,
Yes.
Councilmember Pope,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Weaver,
Yes.
Mayor Jordan.
Yes.
The motion
The
carries.
motion carries. Thank you so much. That should bring us to item number 9, administrative reports. City Manager Salmaron, what do you have for us tonight?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, council. Good evening, citizens. As of Thursday of last week, it is official. NASA Goddard Flight Center is now in Greenbelt, part of Greenbelt corporate limits. Congratulations, residents. Now NASA Goddard is, Greenbelt is home of NASA Goddard.
You just brought a lot of jobs into the city, so you're all welcome.
We're working on budget, still making our way through our budget. We've had some new costs come up, particularly our healthcare and prescription plan that's come in at 5% over what we budgeted. We initially budgeted 5%. The initial renewal proposal came in at a little over 19% increase in premiums from prior year. We've been able to negotiate that down to just under 10%, but there's still a little over 4% difference that we're gonna work through. I plan to bring a budget adjustment to our final budget review to make up for that difference, because in order to meet the budget target of 5% premium increase, we will have to make significant, noticeable adjustments to healthcare premium. So I will be bringing a budget adjustment at our final meeting, and I look forward to having the discussions with council how to address our rising healthcare cost and prescription plans. And I've shared some of the document with council. We're looking at a little over 2.6, almost $2.7 million in healthcare and prescription expenses. So budget is still, we're still working through those challenges. We're advancing several projects, including the WMATA projects. We have received some disappointing news that our last date to submit reimbursements for the WMATA bond bill is June 30th. So we're working expeditiously to see what expenses we can book in that reimbursement. We are not eligible for another extension for that WMATA bond bill. As you know, this is we have several WMATA funding projects that have expired. We asked for extensions, and we just haven't been able to get that project off the ground for a variety of reasons. Not most of it not of our own doing, just the challenges with building a trail on the future FBI site. We onboarded our new IT cybersecurity specialist, so we've filled that position. We did a lot of placements over the last 3 weeks, including the police department. The police department is fully staffed. Yes. We have onboarded. Yes. So police, the officer positions, dispatch, we're fully staffed. So we're really excited about that. Thank you.
Fingers crossed.
Last week was also exciting because we hosted the Bring Your Child to Work Day. So we had a lot of young people in the building, including some that want to be future council members. So I want to thank Mayor Pro Tem Weaver for sharing remarks with the youngsters, and they all sat up here in the dais, and
They liked banging the gavel.
yes,
At least a
there's-
couple of them.
There's a lot of enthusiasm for the gavel.
Watch out, Mayor Jordan. They're coming for you.
We also hosted the Ukrainian delegation. We had a very fruitful conversation. So thank you, Councilmember Fritz, Mayor Pro Tem Weaver, and Mayor Jordan for joining us.
And I believe
then-
Councilmember Niesel was at the park beforehand.
Excellent. I welcome any questions from council. We have a couple events coming up. On May 2nd, we have the Touch a Truck. And then later in the month, we have the Wellness Walk around the lake. May 16th, and Dr. Park is here. We'll be hosting a job fair at Bellway Plaza. So we have a busy month ahead of us. Any questions on our report?
I think Ms. Pompey had her hand up first.
Yes, Councilmember Pompey.
What was the amount of the WMATA grant that's expiring?
75,000.
Thank you.
Councilmember Fritz.
Two questions. One's a comment, and it's a thank you to Public Works. I found a pothole on Edmonston Road, and it was reported to Public Works at 7:07 p.m. Last Monday night, and by 8:16 Tuesday morning, so less than 13 hours later, it was filled. So just want folks, I want to celebrate when government does things very quickly and expeditiously and well. We have really great professionals at our Department of Public Works, so thank you for their quick attention to that. It was kind of in a tucked away area, so might not have been reported for a long time otherwise. And then we did get an email inquiry. I don't want to speak about the specific inquiry, but just generally about street vendors and that policy. Could you maybe just share your understanding of the city's policy with regards to Roosevelt Center and vendors, because I know that has been a concern.
Sure. This is an email that's been floating around the last couple of days. The complaint was hawkers, peddlers, vendors on Roosevelt Center and streets. The city does have regulations regarding the matter from 1971. We do require a permit for those type of activities. I've responded to the constituency, included council, what the law is and how to report those complaints.
And if a vendor wanted to get a permit, what's the responsible office?
I received your request this afternoon. I'll get with the team for creating an instruction on our website on how they sign up for a permit. The police department handles the permit applications and the registration. And it's the same permit application used for door-to-door solicitation. And that's why public safety is involved, because it's the same permit that allows interim vendors and door-to-door solicitors to go knock on people's doors. I will put together an instructional on that.
I just worry about unintended consequences, because the policies, like you said, from 1971, it's kind of vague. It says streets and highways and door to door. It doesn't, I think, specifically name Roosevelt Center. And the vendor in Roosevelt Center in question is a very nice person who is actually helping us with our zero waste goals, because when someone is throwing out a bunch of DVDs, he saves them, because a lot of times in the age of streaming, people aren't saving physical media. He's diverting them from landfill. He's indexing them very well. And he sets up and then breaks down without any complaints. He doesn't leave any trash anywhere. He's very respectful. He's a very kind gentleman. And we are an arts city. We are a cultural powerhouse in the city. We love our history. And when someone is actually preserving that history and trying to, transmit, classic films and DVDs and art to future generations and preserving that's important work, rather than seeing it end up in a landfill. So I want there to be a simple process for this person to get a permit so that he can continue doing what he's doing, because I think he's a really great contribution to our community. So that's just, unintended consequences. Obviously, no one wants just random people going door to door selling services. But, if someone is not really, getting in anyone's way and people are happily buying DVDs that you can't find anywhere else, including 2 DVDs I bought from him about the city of Greenbelt, about our history. And some of those aren't even in production anymore. I support, I'm a democratic socialist, but I support small enterprise. So, I want to make sure that we're supporting our street vendors and not, making sure that we're not harassing them for no reason. But obviously there's the public safety interest that you enumerated as well. So making sure we're balancing those interests is really important to me.
Councilmember Pope.
Yeah, so we have a few little vendors popping up around the schools as well, though. So we may want to just keep an eye on that as well, because our rule should be equal to everybody. So just keep an eye on it.
I think this is a particular point that we should talk through. And the law has existed. We're not aggressively enforcing this. But if someone brings a valid complaint, we can't ignore it. So we're not out trying to jam people and get people. But if someone raises a complaint, we can't ignore it. We have to follow what's in the law as appropriate, right? I think that a major topic last week was the Greenbelt way of enforcing our laws. This has been no different, right? It's a topic that just came up, and we've had vendors. I'm sure this is not the first time that this gentleman comes to our attention. So I think we have to work through it. And there are communities that have worked through these. There are different types of itinerant vendors out there. There are musicians. There are folks that are selling their wares. And I think that there are subcategories of vendors that the process can be defined. But I think we're all in agreement. Laws from 1971 needs to be reviewed. And I think that's what we've been trying to do with the Charter Review Task Force, recodification of our code. There are a lot of these issues are coming to head because we just haven't reviewed them in a long time, and they need to be looked over and determine if that's the modern way of dealing with these challenges.
Yeah, I think personally the balance question is very important. We have organizations that might sell cookies from time to time. So, I mean, that's one thing, but if an itinerant vendor is somehow impeding public access to public facilities, I think that's a slightly different question. So to the extent that if someone is actually blocking a bench or something like that, have to find a way to kind of work around that. That's just my personal opinion.
And, the law is just so folks know, the law is definitely written in 1971 because it talks about people hawking fruits, vegetables, fish, meat, poultry, oysters. Oh my. So I don't know if anyone's ever bought an oyster off the street here in Maryland, but apparently that was a problem in 1971.
You have an oyster street vendor that you prefer?
It's pre-1971. Yeah, please, Mayor Pro Tem.
On a different topic, I didn't feel the need to pull it off of the consent agenda, but the City Logic's contract for the pavement assessment, it mentioned a citizen engagement app for residents to submit service requests. Is that something we're pursuing as part of that as well, or is it going to be integrated with other processes?
We want to integrate that with our ESRI system. So we're working through that, but the end goal is to have a citizen portal where they can submit requests. One of the things we're going to get through City Logics is the asset mapping. So there'll be assets that, like the sidewalk's a good example, right, or the pavement itself. So next time Mr. Councilmember Fritz finds a pothole, I would love for him to take a photo of it. It geocodes it against the assets that we mapped, and the team knows exactly where it is. So that is the future. That was part of our ESRI roadmap conversation, that we want to make it easier for residents to send us requests. A recent example was the bus shelter that was vandalized. I couldn't make out where the bus shelter is that was vandalized, right? It's on Facebook. It was Councilmember Pompey, and then ultimately someone on Facebook mentioned where the bus is located. But I envision a time where folks can just take a picture and it'll be geocoded and tell us where it is, and that will match up with an asset in the system. That's where the two systems integrate.
Well, and I appreciate it. It's kind of a neat process. They use a scooter, it looks like, to do along the sidewalk to do the the data for the sidewalks. And I noticed, and that Mr. Hartman, you'll appreciate this, that it also includes assessing ADA ramp compliance as the scooter is, and like width of the sidewalk and all sorts of things that it seems like they can get with their photos and then analysis. So it looks kind of like a cool process, actually. So that will be useful to have that information.
Measures elevation, slope,
Yeah.
trip hazards, yeah.
And I think
our GIS champion came back in the room, so, oh, you never left. So if you want to hear more about City Logics, Kevin Copper-Driscoll's been leading that effort on all of these technologies. So the 3 technologies you approved tonight, it's part of the strategy to integrate our GIS systems and management system. We're looking at telematics for maintenance schedules of police vehicles. The camera systems will be mounted on trash trucks and other vehicles, so that when we get that resident that says you never complaining that we never pick up our trash, we can verify that the driver was there or was not there, and whether that trash was picked up or it wasn't there when our driver drove by. But more importantly, we're excited about the road assessment that the camera systems do, particularly for snowplow operations. We can see in real time what the conditions of the road are, and be able to make decisions in real time by looking at the information we're getting from the device, but also looking at the cameras. Kevin demonstrated to me a couple weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. He was able to pull up one of our current systems, just pull up the video, could see how fast the vehicle is going, look at video in real time, so we can see exactly what the driver is seeing. Really cool tech.
Powerful technologies, ultimately they'll save us money by knowing where to concentrate our resources. Very, very helpful.
I don't know how excited our public works employees are that we can just tap into a camera in their car, but we'll deal with that as it comes.
There you go. Hey, let's move on to, I guess item number 10 is next. Did I skip something? No, item number 10. And that's a resolution of the City Council of Greenbelt proposing an amendment to the city charter to establish collective bargaining rights for certain eligible, non-exempt, non-managerial city employees. This is a introduction for first reading. So the practice is not to get into a discussion, but to read this into the record. As you know, Council's been actively advancing collective bargaining rights for our municipal employees throughout 2025. So back in January, we held a public hearing, second reading for the Public Works Department. We need to get this in the charter to extend, to possibly extend this to all of our employees. So, would a council member like to read this? Yes, Councilmember.
Mayor Jordan, 2 hours before the meeting, a different resolution was subbed in for the resolution that council had already approved and in fact read in for first reading, although we have to read it again because there were typographical errors. So I'd like to suggest that we read in that original resolution that we read in a couple of weeks ago, and then these changes that were made, we discuss those at second reading, if anyone would like those changes as amendments. Because I really don't feel comfortable reading in a resolution that's not what council discussed. Because we did, as you said, we spent months on this, discussing this, and I'm not comfortable reading in something that has a change that came 2 hours our council meeting. I didn't, because I frankly didn't even see it until I sat down here, because I'm not reading I read my council materials prior to the meeting. So what are your feelings on that?
Well, you know, I appreciate the sentiment, but I don't think we can do it that way. I think when a resolution or ordinance is proposed for first reading, if there's a substantive change, it needs to be reintroduced for first reading. Am I correct in that, City Manager?
If you're making a change before it's introduced, that amendment is your first reading.
Right, but council didn't make this change.
So the change is changing the non-confidential employees to exempt employees in the city manager's office and the city treasurer. We thought that this resolved an issue of our current charter and city code does not define what confidential employees are.
But we don't have to define them because the National Labor Relations Board defines them, so there's no need for us to define them. Like there's a very narrow definition under the National Labor Relations Board of what qualifies as a confidential employee. So we don't have to change that. Like, we can just accept that that's already a definition that's in existence.
Well, I would have to consult with legal counsel. I'm not sure that there may be some differences between what the National Labor Relations Board codified in defining confidential employees and what it means on the municipal level. So to introduce the original ordinance or resolution to discuss the changes, we would still have to introduce the amended resolution for first reading. And I believe that's a correct rendering. Mr. Summerone or City Clerk? And that's a substantial change, that definition.
I agree.
Ms. Pope?
I mean, I don't have a problem with these word changes, because if they are similar, or if it is the same, then I don't think this should be a problem. But if we're not going to read it, then maybe we need to take it off until we have the information that Mayor Jordan is requesting and add it to the next meeting.
It's not so much that I'm requesting it, just from a
Or asking
process
just-
point of view, I
yeah,
think
of
that's the
course.
way we have to
Well-
do it. Yeah, Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, I think just the scheduling of this came up, that even if we introduced it for first reading tonight, whichever language we use, we need to give a 21-day notice before the public hearing, which means that we wouldn't be able to do second reading before the May 28th meeting, which is also our final budget meeting, which seems like that might not be a good idea to have that on the same meeting as for second reading and potential discussion on the same day we're trying to do the budget. So it may be that, I'm not sure it necessarily slows us down if Councilmember Pompey isn't comfortable with this being introduced at so late a point. We could just do first reading on the 11th. I think that still gives us enough time to do the 21-day notice and do for the first meeting in June, which I think I was going to recommend anyway, because I don't think we should try to do it at the same meeting we're trying to pass the budget, because I think that's just going to be too much for one meeting. So maybe we just pull this off until the May 11th meeting for first reading.
I mean, we can do that, but I am not comfortable with this change, and I really am very uncomfortable with the fact that it was sort of slid in here at the last minute with no conversation with council. We had already had a resolution, we read it, we thought that it was done. So the fact that we are literally getting memos less than 2 hours before the meeting, and then it's just changed without checking if we wanted it to be changed, like, that's our prerogative to decide whether or not this charter amendment is going to be changed. We're the ones who decide that. So I just want that said, that I'm not comfortable with this amendment, with the change, and I am not comfortable with it being introduced. And I would prefer to take it off rather than introduce it, because we did spend a lot of time on this.
The reason why it didn't go through the first time was because of legal counsel. They had some concerns.
That was the First Amendment, but if I recall correctly, the confidential employees, I remember having concerns about it because we did not define it in our charter or city code. I remember that still being an issue at the last meeting, and that said we were still talking through what is a confidential employee. I understood that was, at least I remember expressing that concern, that we weren't sure what was this confidential employee piece. This, what is before you is an effort to correct that. More specifically, it narrows very specifically what employees would not be part of the collective bargaining versus this
I
blanket.
think that's important to be there.
Yeah, so obviously, clearly, this is a concern with council. This is, policymaking is the absolute discretion of council. So you tell me, how do you want to proceed?
Councilmember Fritz.
I was supportive of Councilmember Pompey's original notion. I think that this has become much more complicated than it needs to be. I think that confidential employees could be defined in the code. I don't think that needs to be defined in the charter. I think that the charter language should be as broad as possible because it represents the intent of council. My understanding is that barring a very select few rationales, every worker in the city of Greenbelt who is employed by the city has the right to organize with their coworkers to form a union. And I think that can be conveyed very simply in the charter, and then the details can be worked out iteratively we might find out that someone was left out that actually wanted to be in the unit. Well, then we can come back and we can edit the language, but I don't think we need to edit the charter every single time there's some question, because it's not. I think our intent is pretty clear. Especially after we had multiple sessions on this, where we kind of laid out where we wanted to go, how many bargaining units we thought was appropriate. I don't think that anything in this language that was added is necessary. So I would be fine with moving forward today, because it sounds like if a majority wants to pull it, a majority will pull it.
I'd like to give my colleagues a chance to speak on this. Yes, please, go ahead.
I mean, I think that the issue isn't so much about what is actually in the document, it's just the timing. So, and that me, including and maybe some other people, have not had a chance to actually look at the document. So before I vote on anything, something that is critically important, I just want to have a chance to be able to read it, interpret it, and then make sure I'm making the best decision. So between 5:30 and 7:30, I was on my way here. I did not have a chance to do it. So I just want to make sure I'm doing due diligence that everybody has done, and all the good work that has been done and all the conversations we've had to make sure, and that's it. And at the end of the day, we may agree with what's in the recommendations, but until I actually have a chance to look at it, I don't know.
That's hard to argue with. Yes, please.
So I move that we table this charter amendment motion to the May 11th meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Niesel has second. Is there any additional discussion? Yes, please.
Yes, at what point are we going to discuss this, though? Because if we're just tabling it to the 11th, and that's the first reading, we don't discuss on the first reading. So I do think that we need to have a chance to discuss it. So when are we going to do that?
That would be the second reading.
Well, but then we're just accepting this language, which is not what council originally, that was not the intent of council. That's not what council put forward.
Well, perhaps instead of tabling it, please.
So I have a proposal, because I think for, let's see, no, this Wednesday, we're doing public safety. I don't think that will take, I don't know that needs to take the full 2 hours. Could we spend some time discussing it, discussing the language at the end of Wednesday's work session, try to keep the public safety discussion to an hour and a half, and then leave some time to discuss this at the end of the work session on Wednesday?
Yeah, I think I'm comfortable with taking that action. Once again, my question, maybe instead of tabling this, we need to just pull it and start again based on our discussion on Wednesday.
Yeah, I would support that, because we may not want to use this exact.
Well, I was just saying that the resolution, just in general, to the charter amendment resolution.
Yeah, okay, I would agree with that. I'll second that motion.
We need to vote on the motion that's on the floor and based on.
Did you want to make a comment about talking about it on Wednesday, Mr. Samaran?
There's a notice requirement for meeting. Unless it's an emergency, 24 hours must be provided for a regular, because this would be a special meeting of council.
No,
Oh, just be a work session discussion.
Oh, then yeah, that's fine.
Just adding it to the work
Right.
session agenda for Wednesday.
Yes, that's not an issue. There would be no notice requirement other than posting it on our website.
Okay, so based on the discussion here, we do need to vote on the motion that was seconded, and based on the discussion, I'm going to vote against tabling it, so that we can have the discussion and move this forward. So I am going to call the vote. I just wanted to. The motion to table.
Motion is still table the charter resolution until the May 11th meeting. And then adding, we will discuss it in the work session on Wednesday.
Right. Second. Okay. I'm going to vote against it, because if we do it that way, then we would have to present the original.
No, that's not my
resolution.
motion. My motion is the whole agenda item to table it till May 11th, and we will discuss on Wednesday what the language we want to have on that. I don't see, well, but you can vote against it if you want.
Yeah, I will. Please, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Fritz,
Pass. I don't understand. I'm not clear because there's two conflicting interpretations of what we're voting on.
My motion is to table the vote for first reading of the charter resolution until the May 11th meeting and to discuss the language at the work session on Wednesday. Because Ms. Pompey would like to have a chance to discuss the language that goes into that.
I believe in Robert's rules, you can pass to the next person and then come back.
Councilmember Niesel,
Yes.
Councilmember McKinney,
Yes.
Councilmember Pompey,
Yes.
Councilmember Pope,
Yes, sorry.
Sam
Yes.
Yes.
Weaver,
No.
Mayor Jordan is a no. Councilmember Fritz. The motion carries.
Okay. So that's going to go ahead and take us to item number 11, which is a resolution creating a grant matching fund for the purpose of providing funding for city grants. This is for first reading also. This resolution establishes a restricted matching grant fund to ensure transparent, sustainable funding for required grant matches and reimbursable grant expenses, supporting the city's growing success in securing external grant funding. Mr. Samarone, would someone like to introduce this for first reading?
Pompey has her
Ms. Pompey, please.
For first reading, a resolution creating a grant matching fund for the purpose of providing funding for city grants.
Is there it seems like there's more that needs to be read into that.
No,
No? Okay.
that's the title of the resolution.
Okay. Well, thank you, and we'll be discussing that possibly at the meeting on the 11th.
Yes, this can go on for second reading at the next meeting. Do you need anything additional than what has been provided? It outlines the current fiscal policy of how net income gets allocated to the budget stabilization fund and the rainy day fund.
Yeah, some additional context probably would have been helpful to the public, but we'll delve into that on the 11th.
Additional context, would you like?
I mean, yeah.
Well, in the background material, there's a description of how the fund would be established, how it would be funded initially with $750,000, and so on. Yeah.
That's in the packet.
It's in the packet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let me know offline if you want any additional information for the May 11th.
So item number 12 is under other business, and that's a discussion of the council planning framework. Councilmember McKinney, you had put this document together. It's an excellent start, excellent document. So it's on the agenda, and we discussed this on March the 23rd briefly, and it's been updated with some feedback from Councilmember Pompey and Mayor Pro Tem Weaver. So would you like to talk about the framework? I did submit some suggestions on Friday that I'd like to incorporate, and the idea being that we can vote on this actually on the 11th. But Councilmember, I applaud you for pulling this together. It's the input from the two council members very, very helpful and significant.
It is, yeah, thank you very much. I looked at.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So our strategic planning framework helps to kind of guide the document guide the budget planning document. We did this in our last year, and it basically recodifies the priorities and goals that council members have heard from residents as what should be our priorities moving into the next fiscal year. And so it should amplify what our values are as a city. It should also guide the things that are the most pertinent given the city's needs, the political climate, all of the things that are happening right now. It should be embedded within this. And so this becomes also what guides the particular metrics that the city manager will use as he goes into fiscal year 27. And so this is really a summary of things that were heard in the council planning retreat that was done earlier this year. It's also a summary of comments that all council members heard throughout the election season, as well as now we've gotten into this new session and things that we have heard from residents along the way. So it is organized around pillars, which actually reflect a lot of the pillars that have been constant throughout many years. Also, a lot of those have not changed. They may be rephrased, but I think a lot of the priorities do kind of land the same. So there are certain pillars that are designated in the document. There are also goals that support each of those pillars. And then what you'll see underneath the goals are priority areas. So the priority areas become the things that may shift from year to year. What we hope is that the pillars kind of remain the same and the goals may adjust, but they are somewhat similar. But the priority areas should really reflect the greatest needs that the city has right now. So my hope is that each council member has a chance to take a look at the document. And if there are additional comments or feedback, please let me know and I can integrate that into this one document. And then this then becomes what Mr. Samarone will align his sort of objectives within the budget packet that we will then vote on in a few weeks or in a month or so. So, Mr. Mayor, I did receive, thank you for sending out your comments as well. I do think some of them probably are captured, so we just need to make sure that the language, like if there's certain language that is different, I want to make sure that that's captured, but I think the essence of some of your comments are probably there. So I will take a shot at making sure that those are integrated in.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. A couple of the comments that I wanted to include had to do with fiscal stewardship and long-term sustainability. And in particular, we've talked about this tiered approach to commercial taxation, kind of to reduce the reliance on residential property taxes. That's something that's sort of evolved and we've talked about more recently. So I'm pretty comfortable if you can take these into account. And I don't know if other council members would also have some comments or things that they would add. But as it stands now with this document, you know, you're originating it, and with the input from Councilmember Pompey and Mayor Pro Tem Weaver has shaped this document. So I wanted to make sure that a couple of other points made their way in somehow. Mayor Pro Tem?
No, I had hoped that we would be able to vote on it tonight since Councilmember McKinney initially shared it with us on March 3rd, and then we did discuss it at March 23rd. So I'm a little bit frustrated that the comments that you wanted to add were not done previously, so they could have been incorporated already, so we could be voting on it this evening. But and I think it also would be helpful. You made your comments under the goal, sorry, what would we call them? The guiding principles, rather than sorting them by the pillars and the priorities, which is a little bit harder to see where they fit in, since it's not necessarily a directly one-to-one. But no, I just given as much time as Ms. McKinney put into this, and that it's been almost 2 months since she sent it, I guess I just wish that we had been able to vote on it tonight and that we had been able to incorporate all these things, because now this is another thing that we have to do in May right before the budget book. So that's all I'd like to say.
Well, yeah, and I wish that I could have gotten these in earlier. We all have
In the
different life
2 months?
situations.
The
Different
2
life
months?
situations.
But-
Ms. Pope?
But isn't it Can we vote on it? And it's, I mean, this is like a working document, right? I mean, I looked it over too, but what my thoughts were, they were already kind of captured in like public safety. And so, you know, the school zones and things like that. I mean, there was no need for me to add something to it. Now, I'm not dismissing your comments, but maybe we can vote on this. And, you know, I mean, I'm sure there might be other things that we may want to add into it, but that we can do that. It's a working document. So would you be comfortable with that?
I appreciated the dialogue, the email dialogue about where we were, and you had, Councilmember McKinney had stated that you were comfortable coming on May the 11th to actually vote, so.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I would love to move this forward because I also think that Mr. Samarone would like to have our document as soon as possible. And I agree, you know, with what Ms. Pope is saying, it is a working document because the priority areas will always change given things that we hear are a need for the community. So, you know, I just wanted to make sure all council members felt comfortable and it was captured. And I am flexible on whether or not we can vote on it today, but I want to get it done as quickly as possible. So that's where I will.
And I appreciate that, but I would like to be able to incorporate a couple of these in between now and then. I don't think that it is as time sensitive as it appears to be. I think we do still have time to print it in the budget, right?
We have a new deadline with the county, which is May 15th to submit our tax rate. And I have a proposal on how we will meet the county deadline for the 15th, May 15th and May 30th. Our budget approval is scheduled for May 26th. We do have time to make some edits, some final reconciliation of the document before it goes to the GFOA. We have 45 days from the date that council approves the budget to submit to the GFOA. So that's the two sensitive timelines. May 26th, council approves, and we have 45 days to have it all buttoned up and submit it to the GFOA with all the responses to the comments that the GFOA makes. The item that I would like to figure out how do we reconcile is the two pillars. That's going to require some work, and maybe we can workshop that offline to figure out how we integrate the two, or how the city manager's pillars. I think we can have two. I think it might get confusing for the GFOA to see two guiding principles, for one for council, one for staff, and they're overlapping. But I think the sooner that we can get working on reconciling those two pillars and making those edits, the less heartburn I and James and the team will have getting this done.
Okay.
I do want to point out that this was placed on the agenda on Tuesday to actually move on this at this meeting. So I appreciate a little additional time.
Yeah, but again, we discussed it on March 23rd, which is more than a month ago. A point of order, we need to move to extend the meeting. We've hit our 2-hour time limit. So I move to extend the meeting for half an hour until 10 o'clock.
Second.
Okay. No discussion. I do have a I have to leave at 10 o'clock, so there you go. Is there any other discussion? Yes, please.
Thanks. Just in the spirit of being timely, I would like to point out that we have had several conversations that do not fall exactly on the agenda, and I would like us all to be a little more aware of the time that we're taking and what is actually on the agenda.
Thank you. Points well taken. Let's go ahead and take the vote. All in favor of extending the council meeting to 10 o'clock, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Let's move on to item number 12.
So are we going to?
So I will offline with you to see how we can align the pillars this week, and then we can move forward with final. And then I will make sure that the mayor's items are added in.
Thank you. I really do appreciate that. Thank you. Item number 12 is a discussion item. Councilmember Pompey, you asked to have this item on the agenda. You have a proposal that you're going to put forward?
I am. Give me just a minute and I'll pull that up. At our, so this was, I guess, was it last week when we had the work session with CARES? Was it last week? As part of that work session, what Ms. Bately and and Dr. Park talked about was having to eliminate or end, I shouldn't say eliminate, maybe it's end is a better word, the senior citizen community nursing program as well as the bilingual health education outreach program, because those were originally ARPA funded. And it was very clear to me, I think, in watching Dr. Park and Ms. Beatty talk about it, that this program has a lot of value and that they really, want to maintain this program. And they were talking about, ways in which that they could keep the program going. So after sort of hearing their own motivation to keep this program going and also sort of getting the feeling from a lot of my fellow council members that they were, sad to have to see this program go, particularly when it's not a very large sum of money. It's $150,000, which is a fairly small amount of money in the universe of our own budget. And I mentioned that, and Mr. Samron was like, I welcome councils to if you have any ideas, I welcome them. And I was like, well, I have ideas, so I'm going to make them. So it was keeping me up at night. So anyways, I'm going to just read. I'm assuming that most of council has read this, but I will read this for the audience here who has not. So this is my budget reallocation narrative, and I would like this to be included when we do our final budget reconciliation for a vote. Greenbelt Cares was able to significantly expand its community health program to both seniors and the bilingual community thanks to funds from the American Rescue Plan Act. As those funds have expired, the CARES team has informed council of its desire to form a 501c3 to help fund these programs in the future, which I fully support. However, as such takes time, I would like the program to maintain continuity in the meantime. To ensure the success and stability of CARES community health programs, I propose a practical and balanced funding strategy that aligns existing resources with urgent community needs. The CARES team has identified a total funding requirement of $150,000 to support key personnel, including a part-time community health coordinator, a part-time community case manager, and a bilingual health community caseworker. With the leadership team pursuing the Maryland Core Apprenticeship Program, an anticipated $20,000 reduction brings the remaining funding needed to $130,000. To address this gap, I recommend a series of targeted budget adjustments. First, eliminating the Greenbelt East Recycling Center would generate an estimated $50,000 in savings within the waste budget. Secondly, by reallocating $58,500 by temporarily holding vacant the proposed structured DEI position, which would provide significant funding and support. Third, reducing the City Council's professional services budget by $16,000 by scaling back legislative service expenditures and identifying more cost-effective contractors offers another responsible cost-saving measure. Finally, adjusting the special programs budget downward by $75,000 would better reflect typical annual spending and provide the remaining necessary support to CARES. Together, these adjustments yield approximately $132,000, which can be redirected to sustain CARES programming over the next 12 months. The remaining $2,000 would be reserved to support initial financial and IT costs associated with establishing a 501c3 entity, positioning CARES to pursue independent funding streams in the future. This approach prioritizes essential health services while maintaining fiscal responsibility and long-term stability. And then I lay out line by line sort of where the money is coming from and where it's going, which I don't think I need to read all that.
Thank you, thank you. It's an interesting proposal. I think it's very substantive. Typically, with the budget process, this kind of an amendment would come a little bit later in the process. We still have a few departments to hear from, and there might be some additional savings to yield. So I'm just wondering how you would wish to proceed. I think you can enter it into the record. I'm not sure actually voting on it at this meeting at this time would be the best way to go forward. I think that several elements, I think it's good. So is that,
yeah, no,
is that
I
the
agree.
goal?
My goal was not to vote to approve these changes tonight, but my goal is to make sure that this plan is considered when we do our final budget reconciliation. Does that make sense?
That does make sense, yeah.
Yeah, do I need to make a specific motion to do that, or can we just?
think so, no.
We'll just include it.
Yeah,
Okay,
you know.
and I'm happy to take any questions as well. But that's my goal tonight, is not to get all of you to vote on it, but just to read everyone in and have this be something that we talk about, that we consider.
Because there are several moving
Yes.
pieces, yeah. Please.
Give us the heads up, but thank you for doing that. But, we have a little bit to go, and we have a few departments still to listen to, and we just heard about the new challenges about the insurance and the healthcare rates that have gone up tremendously. So I wouldn't want to make any promises, but thank you for bringing it up now so we can be aware.
Councilmember Fritz.
Yes, I want to thank Councilmember Pompey for all of her hard work to kind of bring together an actionable proposal. Obviously, we still have to look at the final budget, as everyone has said. But I appreciate her leadership on this and reaching out ahead of time to kind of walk through this and doing this with a lot of time so it can be part of the public discussion as well. It's not a last minute change. So I appreciate her leadership. And this is very minor, but as we're looking for savings, thinking of savings that are one-time savings, a lapse for 1 year versus ongoing savings, things that we are, because I'm, and I guess it's my question for Councilmember Pompey, since we're talking about it. This is just to fund a 1 year extension.
That's correct. This would really be just to give them enough fund to keep the program going for the next year, so they have some continuity and they have a chance to get the 501c3 started, identify some funding, and start to, secure some streams of funding for the program. I just want to give them a chance to give them a little breathing room to do that. And I should also just say, I want to thank the city manager who sat down with me I think we sat down for like 2 hours and we combed through this budget, like finding every dollar and cent that we could. So he has seen this, so I'm not, taking anything that he thought would be catastrophic. And he did also discuss with CARE, so I'm certainly not because I was clear with him, I didn't want to saddle them with a project that they were like, no, we can't do it. So just to be clear on that, they were involved, and, it's not just me, but, foisting this upon them.
Thank you. That's really helpful to know. If we're trying to fund it for 1 year, one-time savings are much more appropriate than if we were trying to fund this on an ongoing basis. We would need to find permanent structural savings. So I think, if we're trying to do this 1 year, I think it's very plausible, very reasonable. Obviously, if there's even better places to find the savings, I'm sure we're all looking for those. But this is a really solid proposal, and thank you, Jenny.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, please.
And from process perspective, the conversation has been very fruitful. This proposal, your discussion, means we will put it on the final tracking sheet, and then they're voted in one by one. So this is following the process from previous years, where you have a discussion, you say you want to see that in the final budget adjustment sheet, and then there's a subsequent vote to move those onto the final budget.
Hey, are there some other discussion points just regarding where we are with the budget at this point? We had our hearing tonight. We've got 5 more work sessions on the budget. I just think the structural deficit that we're dealing with a lot of uncertainty on revenues, and just also looking at some of the things that we didn't necessarily know or predict, the rising insurance costs or the impact of fuel and other things on other fixed costs. It's really tough.
Tax abatements, right?
Tax
Or
abatements are
more than
much higher
you
than,
anticipated, right?
Yes, the tax abatements went from 350,000 to a little over $1 million now.
So I think we have to be very cautious and, combing through the budget line by line and just really thinking hard if there's some things that we are going to have to sacrifice.
And now it's not all gloom and doom. We have been discussing this for 3 years, and we've been trying to right-size the organization. We've made significant adjustments over the last 2 years, and we put in the long-term financial planning, the 2 scenarios. I feel that we've done a really good job at planning for some of these uncertainties. And I can tell you that we're better off now than we were with the headcount and some of the expenditures from 2 years ago. If we'd have.
Other comments, or should we go to public comment? Yeah, please go ahead.
I had another point to go along with the CARES funding proposal. And I just wanted to move today to allow staff to move, to allow CARES staff to move forward with their proposal to create a 501c3 organization.
I would second that.
Need to do that, or did we discuss that? We just talked about
Discuss it.
I mean, we didn't discuss allowing them to, we have to empower them to do it so that they can, like, to spend time on it, basically, because you know it.
Didn't we already say we would?
Yeah, but it was at a work session, so we couldn't vote on it.
I just want to make sure.
I didn't think that we have to vote on it. I just thought have the march in order to go ahead and do it.
I did
so-
talk to the city manager. He said that we should, so that way that staff can spend time and resources on doing it.
Okay,
So
because I
that's
think
why
that-
I'm doing it.
Okay, because the question came up, and I think it was like, no, you just go ahead and do that. So that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, it was one of their goals, though.
Right,
so
right.
You're right
Yeah,
on
I
that.
understand. I know. I was here for that.
I'm going to push back a little bit, not on the 501c3. I think the city needs that. I just think that it needs to be broader. I think that there are programs in recreation or the police department that also could use the ability to apply for private philanthropic funds from foundations and otherwise. And I think just to have it for care would be limiting. I think that there are other departments in the city of Greenbelt. So it's not so much, let's not do this, let's definitely do it. Let's do it as soon as possible, but I think we need to make it broader. Councilmember.
I say if we should do it as soon as possible, then we should vote to allow CARES to form the 501c3. And if any other group within Greenbelt feels that it is prudent for them to do so as well, then they can do so themselves.
Yeah, I don't think that, I don't think it's a good idea to have 3 or 4 different 501c3s. I think we just have one. I think we make it a little broader and empower CARES or any other organization.
May I inquire
entity.
to our city manager if there are any other departments to date who have required 501c3 status?
No.
Thank you.
But are there other entities, the police department, in filing for grants, wouldn't it be nice to be able to reach out to private foundations?
Floor, so everyone's only supposed to speak twice, so everyone's supposed to get a term before someone else
Sorry,
speaks
did
a
someone else
second
want to
time.
speak? Yeah, please, go ahead.
So right now, we're simply empowering CARES to move forward. There's still a process. So as we go through that process, we may find it could expand. I'd like to try to move it forward so they can actually get started on the process.
I agree with you. Second.
Any other
Just
comments?
in case somebody did second. I
Okay. And we have a comment from the public, but I think it was actually a comment about the talking point previously. Would you like to speak now, or?
Michael Hartman, 2 Court Garden Way. In the discussions with CARES, I did not say that, I meant to say that there are other programs that are ending at the end of this fiscal year, like the Visiting Angels program that does lighthouse housekeeping, house cleaning, and laundry work for Greenridge House. There's also a lot of different programs that are happening through, and I don't know if that's all under the senior services program or not, if that's, because it talked about the nursing and senior services, but there are other programs I know for Greenridge House that are ending, like the Visiting Angels, who do light housekeeping and house cleaning and laundry work for people with disabilities and other folks. So just be aware that there are other programs that are ending as well that are depended on by the residents of Greenridge House. Thank you.
Dr. Park maybe can answer your question.
Good evening. So just to clarify, the services at Greenridge House are separate. Those are funded through a grant we get from the Department of Aging, the SAS grant. And they're revamping that program, but we will be applying for it. So we don't anticipate those services ending at Greenridge House. So the nursing program that ARPA funded, the American Rescue Plan, was for people out in the community beyond Greenridge House. And so that's the program that where the time is coming to an end for that funding. So it does get confusing because it is seniors, but the services at Greenwich House are funded separately. And so those would continue. Yep. And so in terms of the 501c3, law enforcement and recreation do have many more opportunities to apply for grants through government grants that are out there
yes.
through those things, and those types of grants are not offered for social services in the same way. And so that is why the 501c3 is really important to the services at CARES. And again, we wouldn't exclude, if recreation wanted to serve youth and pursue a grant that could be pursued through the 501c, of course we would want to do that. The 501c would be through covering the lifespan because that's what CARES does. And the police have many opportunities for pursuing grant funding through the federal, state, and county. So I don't feel like we would be keeping other folks from that. I'm not sure how many nonprofits offer grants to law enforcement, but I've never looked into it. So
More so foundations, private foundations that don't make grants. Certainly the Recreation Department has the ability to accept donations, but they don't have the ability to apply for grants from foundations or corporations.
Right. And again, I think it would fit under the 5 for recreation because they, similarly to us, are trying to enhance people's lives to make them better. So the 501c3 wouldn't just be for specific services, but you obviously set a broad mission in terms of enhancing the lives of the Greenbelt residents.
And that's what I'm trying to say. I think we need to work with the wording and the way we frame it so that it's something that any part of the city could use if an opportunity is there that we cannot pursue otherwise. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that. I think for the purposes of expediency, it's good to start small, start very narrow, so that we can get through the 1023 tax exempt purpose. And if there's room to expand and grow and add other programming, then we could do it after the tax exemption has been secured. If we try to do that too early on, then we have to be clear about each activity, how the fundraising strategy for each program, and they can get a little burdensome. I think Dr. Park has a very clear idea of what social services we should apply for first, and then we can think about expanding. Once that tax exemption's in hand, we can ask anybody for money.
It's not that simple. I've been through it a lot. So I hear what you're saying, and ideally, but changing something around once it's set up with the IRS is not that easy to do. Any other comments? Mr. Orleans.
Thank you. For years, I've thought that it was inappropriate to be pursuing grants as much as Greenbelt does. I'm not arguing against grants. If money's out there, we should apply for it. But the grants that I think we should be applying for would be government grants, not pursuing for the purpose of providing services and benefits to residents of Greenbelt from folks seeking tax exemptions. To the extent, and I appreciate this, that Greenbelt likes to offer services and benefits to its residents, we should be, as much as possible, paying for it ourselves. And once again, we're facing a bit of a budget crunch in this budget. And once again, I say that we should be seeking to tax appropriately the commercial occupants of Greenbelt more so than we're doing in order to fund benefits to our residents, and doing so without seeking 501c3 tax exemption status to allow maybe those same folks to provide grants to Greenbelt, which they should otherwise be contributing to in their commercial taxes.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Vote.
Let's go ahead and take a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
7-0.
Yeah, we'll say it that way. I hope my comments are being taken seriously. You know, I've worked as a consultant with nonprofit organizations getting 501c3s, so putting something in place, it's not so easy to change it around. And, I just think that we would be better served framing it broadly instead of too narrowly.
Well, we're not submitting the proposal tonight, so the details.
I think we can finish in the next 10 minutes.
Yep.
Well, I think we can finish in the next 10 minutes, yes. Please.
Yes, I just have one more item on this topic. Since we've voted to approve to allow CARES to form this 501c3, I'd like to move to form a topical working group of council made up of myself, Councilmember McKinney, and Mayor Pro Tem Weaver to support the formulation of this 501c3 and be continually reporting back to council on this effort.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there discussion? Yeah, please go ahead.
I mean, I'll just say, when Mr. Summerone and I were having the discussion about sort of all of this, one of the things that we talked about being really important was council support and council buy-in. Like, if we really want this to be successful, we need to sort of put ourselves in there too and do what we can to be involved and support in whatever way they need us to support them. And also to make sure that council is aware of, that way Dr. Park isn't having to come back to meetings every month and report on what's going on, but council can, the council topical working group can let everybody know, this is the status and this is where things stand. And and I just think it's important that we support staff while they're trying to do something that's brand new. So that's it.
Well, thank you. Is there any other discussion?
Did we actually vote on that? No, we need to vote on that motion.
I have a comment.
Having discussion, yeah.
I'm going to vote no on this. And not because I don't think we don't want to support CARES or that we're not supportive. But that's exactly the reason what I said when we went through council rules, making these little committees and having a few members doing things. I think that just gives me a little bit bitter taste. There was not even a question of who would be interested maybe in joining this, like Mayor Jordan, for instance, who is working with grants. So I don't like the flavor of it. So not that I don't want to support you. I do want to support you, of course. We're all interested. I am interested in what you're doing and how the progress is. And so not to give you the wrong idea, but my reasons differ from, that I'm not going to vote for it.
Okay, any other discussion? Let's go ahead, and I'm going to vote no, not because I think we need to do this, but the task force idea, somehow, actually asking everyone is a nice thing to do. So I'm not liking the mechanics of the way this is happening. But let's vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, it passes 5-2. Is that correct? Okay, thank you. That's pretty much it for the agenda tonight. I think the BARC letter is, do we have a draft, or are we going to resend the letter that we already have out there? I think we have a draft.
Yeah, I think Mr. Summerlin and I discussed reissuing the letter that we have and reaffirming our support of our delegation in their efforts to protect the agricultural jobs at BARC. And I don't know and I also just wanted to make sure that council had a moment to say, we're aware, we know this is going on. And, we don't support this move. We've said from the very beginning that those research and agricultural jobs belong at BARC. BARC is a research facility, and it should remain a research facility. So,
Yeah, of course. So who are we going to direct this letter to? To the administrator, or who? To our residents? It's just a statement?
yeah, I think it's just a statement. I don't know if we send it to the administrator before, Mr. Summerlin? Do you remember?
We did. We on August 25th, we sent a letter to Brooke Rollins where we itemized the concerns regarding the USDA organizational plan, and we emphasized the ensuring the size of the USDA workforce aligns with the financial resources, the bringing USDA closer to its customers. We challenged that notion. There was I'm quoting the 4 different pillars of the USDA's reorganization plan. So just a reminder, those 4 pillars are the number 1 on their reorganization plan was to ensure the size of the USDA workforce aligns with financial resources and agriculture priorities, bring USDA closer to its customers by relocating resources outside of the national capital region, eliminate layers of management and bureaucracy, and consolidate and streamline USDA support functions. So we made counter arguments towards those pillars. Then we went further to talk about the importance of BARC in the region, the legal and procedure concerns, and this is one that the Maryland State Delegation is talking about filing suit based on the legal and procedure concerns of how USDA is moving forward with their plan. We have that letter.
Yeah. So can we just vote to allow staff to draft a letter back for our approval, and we can send it out to the administrator? I think that sending it to the delegation isn't going to really help too much. If you read Maryland Matters, you can see that the delegation, along with the Attorney General, are in fact planning to sue the administration over this. So I'm a little unclear if this is a public statement we're just going to post on the website, or is this a letter that we're going to send to particular individuals to try and get something done. Mayor Pro Tem?
Well, it seems like, I don't know that it needs to be one or the other. I think reissuing the letter as appropriate, as well as publishing it and publishing a statement, expressing our concerns and using some of those points. I think it can be both. And I don't know what Ms. Pompey was thinking. I mean, I think sending the letter, yeah. So the motion is to resend the letter and as well as issue a public statement.
Yeah, second.
Sure. We really don't even need to take a vote on that. We can just direct the city manager to do that and get the draft back. But there's a motion on the floor that's been seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion does carry. Thank you. So that's going to bring us to council reports, council activities.
Are there any other comments?
We're trying to, yeah, so here's council activities. Do you want to hold up the chocolate from the Ukrainian delegation that they kindly gave us? They were really lovely people. It was very, very interesting to chat with them. Not every day you get to meet with somebody from Parliament from anywhere else, but especially with the challenges they're experiencing in Ukraine. It was really amazing to get to spend a little bit of time with them. I don't know if anybody else. Looks like we've got a few other good things. Apparently not as many tennis balls were found in the Earth Day kayak cleanup as I expected.
Yeah, when I was talking to Mr. Mullen about that, one of the things that he thought, it might be just because they're doing this so regularly now. They're like getting out there so much more frequently that it just doesn't, like the debris and the tennis balls don't have as much time to build up. Like they're trying to do it quarterly, I think. So they're getting out there a lot. So I don't know.
I think it has to do with the weather conditions also. When we have these really, really heavy weather storms, more things tend to wash downstream. So Earth Day was great. I think there were about 50 volunteers out for Earth Day.
A lot of folks out there.
A lot of
Yeah.
people.
Okay.
Well, if there's no further discussion, let's go ahead and
I move
the
to
meeting.
adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Do a roll call on that one.
Please do a roll call vote for us.
Councilmember Fritz? Councilmember Niesel?
Yes.
Councilmember McKinney? Yes. Councilmember Pompey?
Yes.
Councilmember Pope? Mayor Pro Tem Weaver?
Yes.
Mayor Jordan?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. This meeting is.